Good evening, everybody. I am coming to you tonight live to talk to you about one of my new favorite games called Dice Throne. And you may have heard me talk about it a lot lately, post about it a lot lately, or even seen that I've been doing a lot of demos for Dice Throne lately. And so I wanted to actually jump online and jump live to kind of spread the word a little bit more and maybe reach out to some of you who just aren't sure yet whether Dice Throne is for you, and tell you everything you need to know about Dice Throne and hopefully spark your interest. So Dice Throne is a game that was created by two guys, Nate Chatellier and Manny Trembley. It's for 2 to 6 players, ages 8 and up. And it's basically a fantasy hero battle with dice and strategic card play. And it's kind of a battle to the death, whether you're playing 1v1, 2v2, 3v3, or anywhere from a 3 to 6 player free-for-all style game. Now, out in front of me tonight, I have 2 of the easiest heroes to learn, the Moon Elf and the Barbarian, but there's actually 4 other heroes that you can play with in the Season 1 box, and you can kind of see them depicted here on the front of the box. We also have, from my left anyways, to right, we've got the Monk, the Pyromancer, the Paladin, and the Shadow Thief as well. And all of these heroes have very unique boards and skills, and so when you're playing as each of them, you get a different and unique feel, which is one of the things I really like about the game. So just to give you a little bit of an overview of how the game is played, as I said, each hero has their own custom board. So right now I'm zooming in kind of on the Barbarian and what he has. They have their own little leaflet over here, which gives you what abilities that particular hero has. Like the Barbarian here has concussion and stun. And then it also gives you an idea of what is on the Barbarian's dice, which also gives you kind of an idea of how difficult different symbols are to roll. And why is that important? Well, if we go back over here to our board, a lot of the abilities that your hero can do are based on the symbols that you roll. For example, the Overpower ability here, you'd need to be able to roll 3 swords and 2 pows to be able to trigger that ability or that attack. You also have both a large straight and a small straight ability. So for those of you who are familiar with poker or Yahtzee, you know that small straight is basically any 4 numbers in a row, and then also large straight is any 5 numbers in a row. And then each hero is also going to have at least 1 defensive ability that they can use when being attacked, and it tells you how many dice they get to roll for their defensive ability and what happens based on the symbols that they roll. So one last thing on the board here, my very favorite, the ultimate. So very hard to get. Almost, I shouldn't say almost every hero, you're going to need to get 5 6s to be able to trigger their ultimate ability. But you do an unstoppable and powerful attack. It's really fun when you pull it off, and especially to see the look on your opponent's face as they look in fear and trepidation as you pull off your ultimate ability. But of course, with the Barbarian, you see it's 6 pals, but with the Moon Elf, she's got a different set of dice. She needs 6 moons, but again, it's all what they have on their 6s. So every turn is made up of multiple steps. Let me grab my playthrough card here. And we're also going to need to talk about the cards, but basically every turn is comprised of 8 different steps, including getting more combat points and cards, being able to play cards, sell cards, being able to roll your dice and attack your opponent, giving them a chance to defend themselves, and also being able to discard cards at the end of your turn if you have too many. So let me get over here to the cards. Now this is the Barbarian's custom deck of cards, and we're going to look at the different types of cards that you'll find, not just in the Barbarian deck, but every deck. So let me get out just a few here so that I can show you. So one thing that you'll notice is some cards have a little arrow in the top and some cards have a star. Any card that has a star in the top left corner means you're just going to discard it and do whatever it says. And then the arrow ability is going to upgrade something that you have on your hero board. For example, grab this one here. My Smack 3 is an upgrade for my Smack on my hero board, so I just like slide that over top. And then I have more damage with this one and also an ability that triggers with 4 of a kind. And so that's your stars versus your arrows. And then we've got main phase cards, which you'll see have the little M in the top corner, instants, which have the little exclamation mark, and then the roll phase cards, which have a little die in the upper corner of them. And those also somewhat correspond, oops, sorry for that glare there. They somewhat correspond to your turn order. So you can see you've got main phases and roll phases. So you can only play main phase cards during one of your 2 main phases, and you can only play roll phase cards during your roll phases. Now, you might be wondering, okay, well, what about those instant cards you showed me, the red ones with the little exclamation point? So those can be played at any time on either your turn or your opponent's turn, and those make for some interesting little surprises when you can just throw out an instant unexpectedly. Now, the cost of these cards, they all have a cost in combat points, which is up in the upper left corner right by the star arrow. This one costs 2 CP, and you're going to be keeping track of your combat points with a little combat points meter. Here's the one for the Barbarian. Everybody starts with 2, and then you can get more as the game goes on. But you spend those points to be able to put cards into play at various times, or sometimes, like this Feeling Good card, the card costs nothing at all to play, and you can play it for free. So the typical way a game starts is both players are going to shuffle their decks of cards, which I'm not going to be able to do super well one-handed, but you're going to shuffle your cards. You're going to draw 4 of them off the top of the deck. And that's your starting hand. And then you're both going to roll one of your dice and roll to see who goes first. The player with the highest number on their die will be the first player. And then each turn, you're going to go through the steps on the turn order card. The upkeep phase, which for our 2 basic heroes, there's not really much upkeep to do, but when you get other heroes like the Shadow Thief or the Pyromancer, they might have things that you have to take damage at the beginning of your turn. For example, the Shadow Thief can put poisons on you, and you have to take 1 damage for every poison that's on your board at the beginning of your turn. And then we have our income phase. This is when at the beginning of your turn you're going to get 1 combat point, and then you're also going to draw a card. So that kind of helps that keep flowing. Then during your main phase, you'll be able to play any main phase ability cards, whether they be to upgrade your board or to play those star type cards that are instant type of usage. And you can also sell cards. That's another way you gain CP in this card. For every card that you discard from your hand during your main phase 1 or main phase 2, you're going to get 1 combat point for each of those cards. So sometimes you have to sell some cards so you can be able to play other cards that you need. Then we've got our offensive roll phase. That's when I'm going to get to take and I'm going to get to roll all my dice. And I'm going to get to roll them up to 2 more times and try and get the best possible combo so I can match something on my player board here. For example, with these swords that I've got either a start of a straight there with a 1, 2, 3, or I also see I've got a POW along with some swords, so I might want to go for my sturdy blow, or I might want to try and go for my overpower, or maybe even just try, and I apologize for that glare again, I might want to try and go for more swords and just do straight up damage that way. So once I've rolled 3 times and I've locked in an ability, then my opponent has a chance to play any cards to mess with my dice if they want to, and if they don't, they're going to roll their defense, And as I was pointing out earlier, each hero has their own defense. The barbarian only gets to roll 3 dice on their defense. And when you roll defense, you only get to roll once, and then you just take what you get. That wasn't a bad defensive roll, because as a barbarian, I get to heal 2 times for every heart that I roll. So I would have 4 health if that was my defensive roll I was doing. So then after the defensive roll, after that's all resolved, then we go to a main phase 2. And that's another chance for you to play cards or sell cards. And then at the very end, you're going to discard if you're over 6 cards to get back down to 6 cards and get a CP for every card you discard. So that is a super quick overview of how you play. And of course, it's a little bit easier for me if I'm doing a demo. I can explain things really quick, and then I can walk people through a turn or two so they can kind of get comfortable with how to play. And also, in addition to this too, I should say, I've shown you, the cards and then the combat point meter. There's one real basic intro way to play, which I find is great with non-gamer people who may not feel comfortable with diving into that right yet. Or if you're teaching some kids, sometimes I go a easier route. We just leave out the cards, we leave out the combat points, and we just focus on the phase 4 and phase 6. Just attack and defend, and then flip it back. The other person attacks and defends, and you just keep on going like that until one person runs out of hit points. So the other exciting news about this is, one, this game has been out of print for several months now. The game actually started out on Kickstarter a little over a year ago and did very, very well. And I managed to snag a copy before it went out of print about 3 months back. But they have done a reprint run, so it is getting back out there to sellers and distributors. I know that Amazon, I've seen it on Amazon. You can possibly get it through your friendly local game store if their distributors are carrying it, but it's still kind of hard to get a hold of right now. The other exciting news is they just finished up about 2 months ago a Kickstarter for Season 2 of Dice Throne, and it added, in addition to the 6 characters you see on the box here for Season 1, they are going to have 8 additional characters, and my challenge is always to, off the top of my head, remember those 8 additional characters. But you've got the samurai, the gunslinger, the artificer, the huntress, the tactician, the cursed pirate, the seraph, and the vampire lord. And I think that I got all 8. I hope I did. But I'm super excited about those because they all have their own unique feel too. So it's going to bring even more variety to an already really cool game that I enjoy, but that's not going to be out till November. However, if you're interested in Season 2, you can go to www.dicethrone.com and you can still late back the Kickstarter. And the nice thing is, unlike Season 1, where I hate to say you're stuck getting all 6 heroes in one box, but if you don't want to make the $50 investment to get all 6 heroes, then the nice thing is that with Season 2, they're going to be selling them in packs of 2. So you could, for example, you could just get the samurai and the gunslinger, and I think it's about $25 for the 2-pack. There is also a print and play version of the 2 characters that I've been talking to you about tonight, the Moon Elf and the Barbarian. And you can get that print and play by going to PNP, P as in Paul, N as in Nancy, P as in Paul, .dicethrone.com. And so you can always print it out and kind of try it before you buy it. So that's another option too. I'll still be trying to get some demos going in the area so that if you've watched this video tonight and you'd like to learn more or you'd like to play it, you can come out to a demo. Or, hey, even contact me personally and say that you'd like to hang out sometime and play Dice Throne with me. I definitely will not say no to that. And also invite you to join, if you're in the local Tampa Bay area, to join our Tampa Bay Dice Throne Community Facebook page. Or if you're not, or even in addition to, you can also join the Dice Throne Community main page, which is a worldwide group of people who are Dice Throne fans. And it's a really great community, great people that can answer questions that you have about the game, and so on and so forth. So anyways, I hope that I gave you a pretty good idea about what this game is all about. I kind of did this more or less off the cuff, but I tried to just kind of follow the general demo steps that I go through. So I hope you've enjoyed it tonight. If you have questions, definitely reach out to me. You can private message me, or you can leave a comment on this video, and I'll be happy to get back to you. So thanks again for everybody for checking out my Facebook Live video, and I'm going to bring this one to a close. See you later.